You're such an asshole.
Hello, children. Cox Communication was already giving me a little shit, so this may be an iffy one. Let me read it here. I've been listening to Red Pill content for the last 5 to 6 years. Sandman is the first one. Sandman here. Sandman was the first one I discovered. You, every other Red Pillar, have thoroughly scared me off of ever wanting to get married. Was it us or was it the behavior of other people? I don't think it was us. We just reported the numbers and statistics. It wasn't men who scared men away from marriage. It was women. Sorry, ladies, because binarily it has to be. I was it the guy? It's not the journalist that's reporting on the war. It's the war that's scaring people from that side of the country. Scare me off ever wanting to get married. But one thing I'm curious about is what would it look like if marriage licenses had to be renewed every so often? Every other license has to be renewed. Ideally, if you don't renew the license, the marriage is dissolved with no penalty on either side. Child custody would be automatically 50-50. Now, see, you're already applying what your version of a temporary marriage contract would be, which I'm not against. There's nothing wrong, but contracts can be written up any which way you want. So even if it was a temporary marriage license, what if it was, yeah, but it's a 5-year marriage contract. Okay. And it ends in 5 years with no consequences. What if the laws are such that the girl could divorce you on the second year? So as I went through this, it was like a lot of variables and, well, would it really be that way and what ifs? So what I'm doing for the sake of analysis, I'm doing it the way you're describing it, where it's a very simplified, no harm, no foul. Everyone goes back to the end. There's no divorce. The contract ends, it's not renewed. And in your world, the ideal world, there's no alimony or settlement or anything like that. And it's 50-50 custody. And you even admit, I know this would never happen in the real world. You're damn right it never happened. Especially in today's United States, the marriage contract is such a lopsided, favorable, not only, I guess, depends on state, though, too, to be fair, towards the person who makes less, typically the woman, though not always. But the rulings and precedent is so lopsided. It's like men aren't dumb; they're realizing it. So yes, right now, as marriage is established in its many different forms as per state law, women are not going to give that up without a fight. If you talk about, well, could we get marriage contracts? Sure, ain't no girl going to sign it as long as the current marriage system, generally speaking, remains in place, because it's to their financial advantage, legal advantage as well. I know such a system will never be implemented unless things were really dire. But for argument's sake, if such a system could be implemented, do you think it would work? I believe it would eliminate the majority of divorces. And okay, what do you mean by work? Would it get more people married? To tell you right now, compared to what the current legal system is, I would say men would be more interested or more prone to get married if there was a limited term marriage contract or a temporary marriage contract. Women would probably be less so. So right now, both men and women, for different reasons, men for legal and financial reasons, are less interested in marriage. In majority part, I'd say why marriage rates are going down. But often not discussed is women also don't have an interest in marriage as they used to. Theirs is less legal and financial motivations as much as it is psychological quality of life, just not interested. They don't need a man. They've made that abundantly clear. I don't think they're faking that when they say that. And going from need to want definitely lowers demand. A lot of women just don't want to get married too. We'll have you like, men control it all. Yes, women also don't want to get married. So you would have men a little bit more incentivized, like, okay, well, we got a temporary marriage contract. If it's a mistake, it ends in 5 years. So you write it up for 3. However, your lawyer set it up. I think women would, whatever increase in demand for marriage on men's part would be countered. I'd estimate 1-for-1 in women's lack of interest. The what you're doing, and and try not to look at it from an ethical standpoint, which is what I tried not to do. Try and look at it from purely a self-interest standpoint. Two business parties negotiating. You've literally taken away money from that's basically what it boils down to, money in the form of settlement and alimony and child custody, or the ability to negotiate for it from women. Why would they, going from the current system we have now to your theoretical short-term marriage contract, and so women would not have an interest in it, but men would. Men would have less interest, men would have an increased interest. I'm not saying when we're all money digging, gold diggers. That's not the point I'm making. Is you have just made the situation less favorable to them than what they currently have. So would it work? Well, if your goal is to increase marriage, no, I don't think it would work in today's current political environment. Would it lessen divorce? Yeah, it would less absolutely. If if the clause in there was the contract ends, there's no phony baloney, no palimony, no, oh, I was afraid under duress, none of that, like just simplifying it as it is. It ends, we go our own separate ways, no harm, no foul. Yes, I think it would work and that you would have less divorce. The marriages would still end. You'd have, if you had kids, the kids would still be in broken homes. It wouldn't work in that regard. It would lessen divorce by definition, not necessarily the breakup and dissolution of marriages or families. It would certainly work in the sense that there'd be less legal costs, depending on how intellectually honest the judges in the court system are. Like, nope, here's the contract, it's done. There's not like, oh, I'm coming back from, oh, I want to change. Oh, I changed my mind. Ah, ha, ha, tee hee. My signature doesn't mean shit that was written on. Tee hee. Which, in modern day America, because no one has any honor, that's what it's going to be. Yeah, in theory, it would lower legal costs. It would lower divorce costs, lessen divorce. It would not solve the sociological issues and concerns people have with family formation, broken homes, ill-raised children, and then what's the other one? Families ending. So it would be a step in the right direction. It would provide a little bit more legal flexibility in the favor of men generally, or women who are rich and the men were poor. That would add to it. And then you guys say, well, prenups are thrown out. What's the efficacy of these or these short-term marriage contracts? Are you going to have, well, tee, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just an innocent little girl. Oh my God. How are the courts going to enforce this? That'd be another concern. But academically, theoretically speaking, yeah, it's not good. It's added flexibility. It would now watch some divorce lawyer who obviously would know more than me in this thing would come in. Oh no, there's this other aspect you didn't think. There's this curveball. There's this unintended consequence of which, after sitting down for a bit trying to figure out and think it through, I couldn't think of anything. I believe it would eliminate the majority of divorces. I think it would too, only in name though, not the majority of the breakups. It would also incentivize women to remain attractive and not be nagging harpies. Okay, here's another. In which world? Today? I don't think so. You have to understand, if there's two scenarios. If there's a welfare state, this wouldn't really have an effect on that. Women would not be incentivized any more than they are now to be kind or sweet or nice. Because their livelihood is not dependent upon a man. And even forget the welfare state, as long as there's white collar work, which I'm for, by the way. I'm not like, oh, get rid of it so women are all slaves. That's not what I'm saying. As long as women don't need men and can support themselves, they're not going to be beholden out of desperation for survival to treat you any better. If anything, the short-term nature of the contract, she could just, I think there'd be a lot of estrangement. A lot of people would just be leaving their spouses, waiting for the clock to run down, and then, oh, it's dissolved. There might be an unintended consequence. You got a 3-year marriage contract. The wife or the husband's acting like a pain in the ass, and you just make yourself scarce for 3 years. Like, you can't be served paper. They're trying to sue you or whatever, but you're hiding somewhere in Greenland. and 3 years go by, the contract is null and void, the contract is ended, and now you could come back to the United States. That might be some kind of uh, variant behavior that would come from this. But women's the nagging or the niceness or staying in shape, anything that would have been considered traditionally feminine to make a man happy, women would be the same amount because they don't have to today. Now you got rid of the welfare state, some, but women could still choose to work because there's white collar work, or if we want to, Rosie the Riveter up, they could do blue collar work too. They could work real jobs. And if you got rid of the welfare state, sure, some women, when choosing between working hard and a real job and actually supporting yourself, or just treating a guy nice, they might treat a guy nice. But you have to get rid of the welfare state, and you have to get rid of white collar work. I keep saying it. You think there's something wrong with these wascally women. It's why aren't they liking men? It's like, you don't understand. They never liked you that much to begin with in the first place. They have been liberated from men. They don't need you anymore. They keep telling you this. This is the founding principle of my latest book, A World Without Men. They didn't like you that much. They don't. Half at least, if not the outright majority, they stand you up for dates. All the empirical data we've gotten from online dating platforms, they keep rejecting. They are only fractionally interested in men as much as men are in women. And they are, as you know, they're only interested in what's really starting to turn out to be the top 5, maybe even 4% of men. And also, and now that they don't need a man to survive, I'm not choosing sides, trying to be academic about this. It wasn't like men were the greatest things ever beforehand. There were a lot of bad men. The fact they're not agreeing to go out with you or have sex or be nice or be thin and et cetera, it tells you everything you need to know. Their behavior is screaming at all of you. They don't like you that much. And now that they don't need you, you see the real and effective interest women have in men, which is fractional and only reserved for very top tier men. Otherwise, they're very they don't hate you. I mean, some do. They don't hate you, but they're just meh about men. And you see that. And so this legal contract does not change the underlying economic reality that women can work, and there's white collar work, and some can really be really cool gals and do blue collar work, and they can support themselves, is what I'm saying. And there's a welfare state that either will support them wholly or subsidize them. And now that they don't need men, you get to see their actual choice, and they are choosing generally not to go out with you. Or if they do get married, not to be nice, not to be thin, not to be sweet, not to make a sandwich, and I mean, they even find it disgusting and degrading, which they've told you many times. Look at the, I wouldn't say this is all women, but look at the significant percent or contingency of women that are actually offended and appalled that you like thin hot chicks, that you like female beauty. Look at that. I mean, I don't think they're faking it either. They're not doing it for shits and giggles. I think they're just offended that you find attractive young feminine women attractive and feminine. And how dare you? I don't make it up. This is a shtick. Go look. It's out of their own words. Look at what they're trying to do with video games. They're trying to make the women ugly as hell. How dare you? Like, oh, you should be ashamed. You should love us for our personality. Okay, good luck with that, ladies. So that lack of interest, you create a temporary marriage contract that has no bearing. It will not affect women's behavior. Will they be nicer and be thin and placate men more? No, they won't. Not in today's era. You wipe out the welfare state or white collar work. Okay, yeah, then but they're not coming back because of the short term contract. They're coming back because they need you. Also, I will admit that I don't know if it would incentivize men to make relationships work. It would incentivize men to you're eliminating risk So it would incentivize men to pursue marriage more than they currently are now. And it all depends on how it's phrased. If the girl, again, if the girl can still divorce you at year 2, take half your shit, well, then these short-term marriage contracts don't matter. If it's like there's no, what you really have to do is get rid of alimony and settlements. And it's like, nope, you came into the marriage with what you owned, you leave with what you owned and contributed, you individually. All right, little miss part-time social worker who makes 30 grand a year versus your husband engineer who makes 150,000 a year. Yeah, you don't get half. You get, what is it, 53, 180, 1/6, because that's what your income was. That is what would have to simply change it, simply adding a time limit to marriage. All these other things in the marriage system, the marriage laws would have to be changed. So men, but generally, ceteris paribus, only looking at, yes, you would be like, well, there's a built-in ending, so if I choose the wrong person, it ends. You believe such a system would be unfair to women? No, I don't think so. It's the contract. Women don't have to sign the contract. It would be equal. You talking 50-50, and the marriage ends and there's no divorce. That's treating both the male and the female equally under the law. They'll scream bloody murder if you try to put it in now, say you're violating the rights. Like, fuck off. This isn't a right. This is equal treatment under the law. What right of yours is being? What are you being denied to do? Collect his shit? But no, I mean, in the adult world, using English as it's intended to be and being intellectually honest, being an adult, no, that's equal treatment. You get 50-50 custody of the kid, the marriage ends for both of you. You can't sue each other. No, it would be fair. Yeah, and you don't have to sign the contract either. That would be very fair. As long as the law is applied equally to both parties. Oh, the internet went out. Look at that. Look at that. Would like a video response. All right, there it is. There we go. Let's go to the super chats real quick. If we have any, Cappy gonna go to the gym. Drew, $2. What's your opinion on working for the federal government? I'm for it. Sure. Get your pension, make your money, get your nice little insurance, get your fringe benefits. Do it. See Dumbledore, $10. This is the system already. Oh, thank you, Dumbledore. If you remind me, I did some research. So, I thought the Scandinavians, like the Vikings and the Romans, had temporary marriage contracts. They still might have in the past. I couldn't find any research, but I did find that in Islam, Shia Islam, there is an accommodation for temporary marriages. Also, Mexico, interestingly enough, I think only in a province. The articles are a bit slim. They proposed this idea in 2011 of short-term marriage contracts, and it went into law, I think, and only in one of the states in 2019, which is too recent probably to get any kind of data to find out about the efficacy and the costs or the consequences. I couldn't find anything, but it has happened in the past. There are some very few instances, but instances nonetheless where it's happening today. I'd be very curious to see how it happened in Mexico, because they're kind of second world, quasi first world, Western adjacent, to see how they, and they had, I did see some data. Oh, Western women, just going to find myself a nice Latina. So in this province, they said there were 6,000 marriages and 6,200 marriages and 3,000 divorces. I'm like, pretty damn close to that 50% of marriages end in divorce. Then you have everyone, well, you see, if you got married and you're Christian and you have a college degree and you're left-handed and your right nut hangs a little lower than your left nut, then you only get a 1 in 3 chance of getting divorced. Oh, only 1 in 3 chance. Oh, that's much better. Okay, 1 in 3 chances my parachute won't open. Sure, let's get up in that plane. This is the system already in place, only it's for women's benefit only. Outstanding observation, Dumbledore. You're right. It's all the marriages are temporary. 7-year itch hits and they're out the door with cash and prizes. Men have kids, women have hostages. Look how jaded and cynical we've all become. And then you're like, no, but it accurately reflects reality. Like, they're not jaded and cynical, they're just reacting. Nonstop trade, $2. Would the women gain weight gain and the contract terms? Um, no, it would be set for a certain amount of years. I mean, you can write up any kind of contract you want, and the person could sign, like, I agree to these terms. It's whether you're going to get a court to enforce it, or whether there's any kind of bullshit on the other end, which is just going to drag it on in court. You'd have to write that in there. That would just complicate it. I think what would happen is what I kind of forecasted before. You'll have a 3-year there'd be a push to have short contracts, like 2 to 3 years, very short term. And then if there was bullshit and they're coming after you, whatever, DV, false accusations, even if it was real, if you were a criminal, you wanted to leave. Oh, I'm going to go after the money. You can't, if you don't get served, they can't find you. You just go hide somewhere in Panama. I don't know. Then you come back. Oh, we're not married anymore. Bye. I think that would happen. You'd see a lot of people leaving and going on the lam, as they used to say. Reen Schwartzer, $5. Went overseas. When I came back, girls told me they were only pretending to be nicer. I just replied, well, that's more effort than you put in. Oh, you mean, okay, so you went overseas and the girls were overseas pretending to be nicer. And you replied, that's more effort than you put in. Yeah, no, good for you, Reen. I Oh no, the girls treated look at the attitude. Really? I'm not like a huge passport bro. I'm from, I understand for more of an economic standpoint. But oh, they're only pretending. It's like, geez. Well, honestly, you say, well, what do you care? You're not all that interested in guys anyway. That's what I would be like. Well, look, you're not that interested. All right, what do you care? Is your ego hurt? Because you're not gonna Drew, $2. Do you think the housing supply will increase? It is increasing, just not as fast as the population. It is. You could look at housing starts. Look at it. Go look up housing. Search housing starts, Fred. There will be your chart. Private housing starts, if you want to be technical. Nonstop Dre, $2. In Japan, you can rent a girlfriend, even a family. Yeah, that's not even necessarily a sexual thing. Because of their work till death culture 15, 20 years ago, a lot of parents and grandparents were sad and lonely, and they would rent the family because their children would never come visit them because they were working nonstop. Rent a girlfriend, that's been around since time immemorial. Dicastinator, $5 till sunset and renewal clause do us part. I think that's a much more sane approach. It is, I think you're right. It should be just to give people an out because so many dumb people get married and it ends anyway. Just make it easier for everyone. Marriage is still a scam. It is now. It really is. I'm not being edgy, guys. There's just no reason for you to do it. You could get everything you want out of a marriage without the marriage itself. The above is less romantic. It's her day. Yeah, I mean, how many her days do they have? A friend of mine has been married 4 times. And her current husband, you never know. He's like, I'm getting married once. Tee hee. See Dumbledore again for $5. The hypersonic Re is Gen Z millennial only holds models. Age out is going to be epic. Enjoy the decline. I saw. Oh, internet's out. Hang on. We just gotta wait. I'm back. See if I'm back. Give me a second here, guys. I'm checking something. Oh, it says I'm up. Cox Communication, everybody. If you come to Vegas, Cox Communication. Really? Again, huh? Just This is amazing. All right. Yes, it is. Let me just bang through these. I'm gonna try and get out of here. Yes, it is. It's gonna be amazing. I think it's already amazing watching my age out into post menopause, and it's just like, well, I can't imagine what's gonna happen to all the online strippers. Osama Abdu, regular guy, $5. AC, you've been metaphorically ahead of the curve on social predictions. Where does that insight come from? And that the USA most women don't like most men. It I don't I don't watch the news is one thing. I was a big nerd when I was younger, a very unpopular nerd at that. And instead of focusing on what you're told to focus on, either through popularity or being in school or corporate advertising or political motivations or propaganda with school but um that's just not subscribing to that, not wasting my time watching that shit. And I wasn't as empirical or objective as I was when I was a kid before, but it certainly taught me to distrust what everyone is telling me. Like I'm fully aware all of society will lie to you, right? I'm fully aware of that. Most people aren't. They think it's what's me. There's something wrong with me. I everyone else can't be wrong. No, everyone else can be wrong. And so at least you don't waste your time on that. And then also the advent of the internet and databases, especially starting as early as the late 90s, where all this data was coming in. And I don't care what the fucking talking heads say. I was looking at the data. I'm like, well, that's way off. And what incentive at least at the time, did whatever some nerd economist data collector have to fabricate the data on a database? And so a lot of it was just, no, look at my numbers. Even at the like right before the housing crash crashed, all my models are saying housing was going to crash by about 40%. I'm like, no, that can't be right. I failed to carry a one. I should have had faith in my numbers and my data. I was like, no, that's not, no way. What, really? Um, and so just, and then I guess a third and final thing is just assume the worst of humans because they are. What would a lazy person do? If you are ultimately lazy, of all things, the most motivating force in your life is the fear of labor. That will describe about 75 to 80% of people's behavior, no matter where you are. No matter where you are. If you say, what would a lazy person do? They do this. You could pretty much figure out what people are going to do. And that may come off as sounding very awfully cynical and jaded, but I keep getting proven right all the time. It's not me, it's the lazy motherfuckers. It's your average rank and file Walmart shopping pigs. I mean, not just in the United States, but other places as well. And so, now that I've established a track record and people are like, oh my God, it's so sad. I got the sadness. There's no future in the United States. Well, I've been fucking trying to tell you this for 25 years. We've got to turn it around. But no, you all were fucking, come on, baby, light my fire. And well, that's cool. Man, you're so cool, man. Fucking dopes. Nonstop Dre, $5. Do you think most men actually care if women generally like them or just want women who are nice to them? In shape and not to be a pain in the ass? That's a good question, Dre. I think most men would settle for the act. Like if you had a choice compared to right now, nearly every guy would take fine, it's an act. I don't care. At least she treats me nice, sucks my dick, and makes me food. She may not like it, she might hate it, but it's better than having someone annoy me and aggravate me. Now then, but if these are the only two choices, yes, obviously men would like the woman to be sincere. And I can't speak for every man, but I know most men, it's like they talk about the enthusiastic sex where the girl really just like, let's go. There's no pulling teeth. If you go back in the olden days, there's this thing called how to break down last minute resistance. Like, dude, I don't want to break down last minute resistance. That's a boner killer for me. Look, you either want to have sex with me or you don't. You ever been on a date with a girl? I guess most of you must have been on a date with a girl. Just didn't really want to be there. That's the majority of the dates. They're bored. And then there's some gals that are just like really super fun. And later on you find out, nah, they were just high on cocaine. That was the drug we used back in my youth. If they were drunk, they had to be under the influence of a drug to at least maybe in their drug-induced mind, think they're having a good time with you. They were way more fun. You obviously would take that over a girl who doesn't want to be there. Because sit down, ladies. Don't want to spill the beans. Most guys don't want to be a dick. Most guys would feel bad if you were there and you didn't want to be. Not because it would hurt their feelings with that too. But well, then you shouldn't. No, why would you do that? You don't, that's charity. You don't have to inconvenience. I don't want to inconvenience you. Fine. Go away. But yeah, I mean, I think most men actually care if women genuinely like them. At a level, yes, I think every man does, because they don't want to have essentially a hostage. You want your wife to like you, or just want women who are nice to them, in shape, and not be a pain in the ass. I think both, but they obviously like the girl to want to be there. Mr. 220 volt, $10. Have you ever looked at Richard Cantillon, French economic philosopher of the 1700s? No, but it's the Cantillon effect, right? Cantillon, I've heard of the effect. I don't know about. Was it with the silver and inflation? Was that guy? I think I might have read something about that a while ago. Maybe I have. It's been a while. All right, there you guys go. What the hell's linked below? I don't know what's linked. Oh, link below. The Book of Numbers, Analyzing the ROI in the Pursuit of Women. Gentlemen, ladies, please go read that book. Ladies, if you have a problem with guys constantly asking you don't like them, get them this book and show them, look, we just don't like it that much. Boys, please read that book so you know what women's true and effective interest in you, let alone getting married to you, is, so you don't overinvest in your pursuit of them. And that's it. That's all I got. All right. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.